Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a Chakras and Cusswords podcast. My name is Catherine, and I am your host. And today we are talking about an uncomfortable topic, a topic that is centered around emotions and feelings and just kind of giving over some pain and even sometimes some grief, maybe even betrayal. So we're talking about breakups. Horrible breakups. Breakups are challenging, and a lot of times there's a lot of areas of different emotions and energies just kind of running very intense during a breakup. So, a horrible breakup are basically that energy of something that is filled with pain, confusion, and often tons of feelings. And there's all types of breakups. There's breakups maybe which are mutual and two people decide to go their separate ways, and that kind of feels aligned with the space that they're at the moment. But then there's also the breakups where one person may not have been ready for the actual breakup, and that energy feels maybe centered around some areas of betrayal or discovering that their partner was not telling them the truth. Maybe there's some infidelity behind that, or there's the energy of realizing that something has been hiding from them, and it kind of shakes up the area and the foundation where that person has some energy of trust really being compromised. And sometimes that energy will continue to move forward in other relationships. And that's something that we don't necessarily want to happen, because we want to be able to release the energy of the relationship that we are currently breaking up from. So with a breakup, it is the ending of a relationship. It can also be a time where there's a lot of raw emotions, and the person maybe feels like the breakup shouldn't happen because unfortunately there was some miscommunication, or communication wasn't really there, or the people were at two different phases in their lives. I tend to hear that sometimes, that the reason why the breakup occurred was because this person is at one phase and this person is at another phase in their life. And even though they tend to care for each other a lot, that relationship just did not work because for whatever reason, the two individuals wanted two totally different things for this phase of their life. And even with all the breakups, there's tons of sleepless nights. There's tons of feeling lost, feeling reminiscence, feeling the memory of that individual. Could be a song, it could be a smell, it could be a memory kind of plays back in to the area of reflecting on what happened with the breakup. In a horrible breakup, the mutuals usually respect to tend to dissolve it. Sometimes, we see that energy of blocking each other on social media, especially if there was some arguments. Maybe they have to now break away from that shared Netflix account or whatever streaming platform they were doing. And if it's really, really bad, then it's a divorce and they have to start to divide their assets. Hopefully, there's not children involved, but a lot of times there are children involved, especially in really big and challenging breakups. So, whatever terrible breakup you might have either gone through or could be possibly still going through, I'm hoping to help answer some questions and really kind of help get you in the right path of doing some self-healing and also doing some self-discovery and gaining a little bit more confidence that will allow this breakup to kind of transition in a way that can feel a little bit more empowering to you and also be a little bit more centered in personal growth. So with all breakups, we have to remember that for whatever reason that the breakup happened, it happened. I see a lot of times people might go through some energies of denial or think that one individual might still be holding on to the relationship. And sometimes that does occur. But when it does, there are a few simple steps that we should do. And some of those steps are basically taking care of yourself and not being so consumed with what that person that you broke away from or that the breakup occurred with is doing. And some of the ways that you can do this are very selfishness, and also they are very selfish in some ways. And you want to have a nice balance of both because, in all honesty, you're going to want to go through the steps of a breakup. One of the first steps of a breakup, and obviously breaking up, comes with a lot of emotions. And I'm going to tell you, you need to let yourself feel the emotions that you are feeling. You need to let yourself feel the pain that is surrounding you during this breakup. So don't suppress your emotions, even though you might want to. You might want to put on that big, stoic face. It's hard, right? You want to put on that big stoic face and get up and show the world that you're not sad, you're not mad, you're not upset, and you're not grieving. But in actuality, you want to be able to express how this breakup is making you feel. It is a form of self-awareness and also self-acceptance and also self-assessment on how you are feeling from this breakup. And that could be, different feelings. We all have different feelings. You might be actually happy that this breakup occurred and the grieving process isn't really there. And if that is true, then you should acknowledge that. Like, hey, this breakup, in all honesty, is probably the best thing for me because now I can concentrate on some of the things that I wanted to do and also some of the things that I can now explore because this other person was holding me back from certain goals. Or, for instance, you could say, I'm feeling very upset from this breakup because I feel betrayed. This person was cheating on me. They were lying to me. I feel hurt. I don't feel valued. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit harder for me to move on, but I will be able to. So you want to acknowledge the loss that occurred in the breakup. And also you want to remind yourself that the feelings won't last forever. Even though breakups are challenging, they aren't not going to last forever. They are going to tend to get a little bit better with time and also get a little bit better after you discover the awareness that you have from what has occurred and also how you can possibly improve your next relationship. Another thing that you want to do during a breakup is you want to establish boundaries. And that is, in all honesty, one of the most challenging things, especially if you were the one who broke up with the other person or you were the one who basically decided that this relationship was no longer moving in this path that you wanted to move with. Sometimes people want to still reach contact, they still want to keep connected. Maybe they still want to have a friendship. But in all honesty, you need to avoid contact with that individual, especially if it is too painful. And also if you tend to allow this person to possibly get you in emotions that you don't want to be in. So for instance, if you tend to have a good relationship with this person where you guys are able to communicate and you're not feeling angry, you're not feeling upset, and you're not feeling sad, or you are not feeling disrespected when you see them, then you probably can still have some type of relationship or communication with them. However, if you are feeling that these emotions are still coming up, then you should probably avoid contact with that person. If you share mutual friends or spaces, or even if you guys share children, you might want to communicate to each other clearly what these boundaries need to be. Like, please, if you drop off the kids, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to get out and come talk to me. Just drop off the kids. Or you could either have somebody maybe drop off the children for you, or vice versa. Make sure that it's always in some area where the emotions aren't taking over that event. Also, I would say that it's important during this time to establish good boundaries and also establishing guidelines. Definitely. If you've acknowledged that you do not want to speak to this person anymore, then acknowledge it. But don't be the one to kind of initiate and step over your own guidelines or boundaries reaching out to that person. Just if you say no more communication, then make sure it's no more communication, and that comes from not just the one party, but also you as well. Another thing that I definitely think is important is finding a support system, leaning into family, friends, even coworkers with some grace, right? The coworkers that you don't like mind sharing some of your life with, but your personal things and stuff like that. But also coworkers who are seen more as families, or friends. But make sure you definitely talk to people who are close to you. Make sure you find a support system. So one of the things you want to do is lean on your support system. Talk to close friends or family members who understand you, and sometimes who can help you get through this. Sometimes good support systems are very therapeutic. If you have a girlfriend or even a family member, coworker that you can call and tell them I'm really upset today. Today I feel very sad. I feel very betrayed. Or today I feel like calling them. And you need somebody to say no, girl, do not call him. Do not call him. Don't do that. Or, tell you look, you've been doing so well. Go ahead and, maybe send him a letter. Or maybe if you are going against your boundaries, don't send him anything and just go ahead and let these emotions happen. I'm here for you, and that's it. But for the most part, don't reach out to them if that was your boundary, not to reach out to them. We have to remember that not everything needs a full energy of closure. I think sometimes people always say, I needed closure, I needed something, especially when the emotions are high. In all honesty, for whatever reason the relationship didn't work out, trying to find that energy of closure you can do, but make sure once you do it, that's it. No more. Don't go back and forth, So also another thing that I think is very beneficial during a breakup is creating new routines. Shake up your daily habits. Shake up your daily rituals. Shake up your daily morning routine. Like for instance, if you used to wake up and let's say make him breakfast or something, instead of doing that, wake up and maybe go for a walk, or wake up and maybe make your own breakfast, or make your own lunch, or make a meal prep, or maybe wake up and do a meditation, or wake up and go to the gym, wake up and do some type of yoga, or do some type of light stretching before you start your day. So don't let that time that you used to spend with a routine that was together as a couple go to waste, because you want to create a new routine that's more centered around you. And another thing that you want to do is reclaim your identity. A lot of times when you have been with somebody for a very long time, It's like you start to almost like interpret their identity. And a lot of times you see this with couples, like couples will kind of remind you or remind each other or remind people of their, I guess you could say their spouse or their other half, right? Because they tend to kind of like pick up each other's traits, and they also kind of tend to pick up some of the things that each other likes. Like you always see people will, if he's a 49ers fan, I'm just using the 49ers, then she's a 49ers fan, right? Or if he's somebody who goes to the gym every day, she might be now somebody who goes to the gym every day. I once had somebody tell me it was so painful to go to the gym that she went to because that was the gym that she went with her ex, and they were going through a breakup, and she used to always like get very, nervous, like I don't want to see him, I don't want to run into him, none of that. So it's time to reclaim your identity. It could be finding another gym, or it could be finding a class during that time that you used to go to the gym that you could do, which might limit your time of seeing him or chances of seeing him. But you definitely want to invest time in rediscovering yourself and what makes you happy, right? So what was it, the things that you wanted to do that maybe for some reason in that relationship you guys didn't do? So look at times that can really make you happy by reflecting and seeing what it is that makes you happy and reclaiming that identity of who you are away from that once was couple, that once energy of being a couple, and really get into the energy of claiming your own identity, reclaiming it, right? Also, one of the things you want to do is practice self-care. This is all a form of self-care. It's acknowledging your boundaries, finding new routines, but also really getting into the mind of energy that is really feeding the soul, and not only the soul, but also the mind. So I don't recommend going out every night with your girlfriends and basically not accepting the breakup and not accepting what has occurred, because it might be fun for a moment, but that fun will just stop, and then you will still be left with the consequences of the breakup and the emotions, the energy, everything that you have felt. Eat nutritious foods. Also, when you are going through a breakup, when the emotions are high, there's a higher chance your immune system is low. There's also a higher chance that you aren't getting good sleep because you're probably so emotionally fueled that you're just not sleeping well, or you're just thinking of things over and over and over again. So it's very important to definitely take care of yourself, eating well-balanced meals, eating whole food, staying away from junk food, staying away from large meals at night, staying hydrated. Look at the basic self-care that is basically feeding back into you and making this breakup way more essential towards you, way more essential towards the area of treating yourself to energies of feeling worthy by putting good, nutritious foods into your body. I know a lot of times when there is a breakup, plenty of times it's like, well, I'm going to go out, I'm going to dance, I'm going to party, I'm going to do all these things, I'm going to feel like 100% better, blah, blah, blah. But then what happens is that fun night, that fun weekend, there comes this whole time where you're alone during the week, or you're not feeling valued and not feeling like you have really contemplated all of the things. Now, I definitely think that having a good support system and having friends is important, and enjoying your time so you aren't alone. But you also need to understand that you can be alone, and you don't need to find a bunch of activities just so you don't think about what has occurred. or you don't think about calling the ex, right? Also, you want to treat yourself to like going on in the spa, treat yourself to fun, luxurious things that are centered around you and having self care. Also, an amazing thing to do, especially during a breakup, is to buy a new book. And that could be like a book or like an audio book, but buy a new book that is maybe centered around you, centered around something you've always wanted to learn, and stuff like that. Another important thing is staying physically active, moving your body. Moving your body is very important during a breakup because, like I said, the emotions are high. There's a high chance your immune system might be taking a fucking dump. It might be crashing out, right? And you need to fuel your energy. You need to get out those endorphins. You need to move your body. It really helps get through the area of sadness. Working out really helps with anxiety. A lot of times during a breakup, people are getting very anxious. They're getting depressed. And one of the things that happens is their cortisol level might increase. And it's very important to move the body. And also, when you are moving the body, you are reducing your cortisol level, the stress indicator, that stress hormone. So you're going to want to like be physically active, do some cardio, lift some weights, do some yoga, get out there, feed back into yourself. You definitely want to curb those emotions with getting energy out. Also, another thing that is very important to do during a breakup, and it is to be consistent and also to practice setting short-term goals and intentions. So when you are in a breakup and you are in the breakup phase, I don't necessarily think that setting long-term goals are the most beneficial, because sometimes we see long-term goals as getting married, having a family, buying a home, being centered in like traveling the world, or things like that. And sometimes we just lost a bunch of focus. We just lost that ability, because what we thought were our long-term pathway just got a complete dishevel, just got shaken up into a different reality, right? So you want to focus on small term goals. So manageable steps that keep yourself moving forward and help create a path that feels more professional. It feels more centered around you. It feels more centered around creativity. And it also allows you to acknowledge that you are able to create goals, and you are able to rebuild some energies around confidence. So for instance, that could be like working out, 3 days a week. That could also be making sure you go on a hike once a week, or at least once every 2 weeks. It could be making sure you have a girls' night. It's very important to start to plan your days, especially during a breakup. And I love, like, it shouldn't always feel like, yes, sometimes, those spur of the moment, last minute girls' night, or last minute is hanging out with your friends, or visiting your parents. Yes, those times will happen, but you also want to plan your days. Like, so if you have a day that you want to plan it out with your friends, make sure to kind of set that in motion, because you want to have something to look forward to. And also you want to have some goals where you see like, hey, this weekend's going to be fun. We're doing a wine tasting, me and the girls, or I'm going to go visit my mom. I'm going to go visit my dad. I'm going to go visit my cousins, so make sure you stay active and also plan some of your goals out. Also, another thing that you want to do is limit negative coping mechanisms. And that's what I'm talking about when I said you don't want to be going out every night with the girlfriends. You don't want to be going out every night, partying, hitting the clubs, creating some debauchery. Debauchery is fun, but in all honesty, it doesn't really allow us to gain that area of self-worth. And it doesn't really allow us to gain that area of reflection that we need during a breakup. So even though it's tempting, and I'm always ready for a good fucking time, but you don't want to numb the pain, right? And a lot of times we tend to numb the pain with drinking. It could also be, smoking too much weed, and rebound relationships. Now, I will say that I've always heard, getting over somebody easy means you get under somebody else, but not necessarily, because those emotions are still there. That heartbreak is still there. That betrayal is still there. That energy of mistrust is still there. That avoidance of the emotions you are feeling, that avoidance of the reflection is still there, and it's just delaying your healing process. Yes, there are times that you're going to want to have fun. There's probably going to be times that you're going to want to meet somebody else, and especially if that person is already with somebody else. The person that you broke up with, or that broke up with you, or maybe you broke up with because you realized they were fucking cheating, is now with somebody else. It will drive you almost feeling fucking nuts, because you're going to want to replace that happiness. You see that they're happy, and it just is driving you nuts, and you can't stand it. So a lot of times people will look for a rebound relationship. And I don't necessarily think rebound relationships are good, because they will bring some of those same problems in from the last relationship now into the new relationship. So until you kind of have definitely gotten over this breakup, I wouldn't recommend. And are we ever really over a breakup? Sometimes not, but dealt with it in a way where a lot of the emotions are not coming back up. I wouldn't necessarily recommend diving into another relationship. So one of the key factors is reminding yourself your self-worth. A breakup doesn't define your value. You're going to want to practice affirmations. You're going to want to show that you're deserving of happiness. You're deserving of love. And you want to surround yourself with people who see that. That could be friends, that could be family members, that could be, hanging out with people that you haven't had time to hang out with because of your relationship. But healing takes time, and we have to acknowledge that healing takes time. And it shouldn't be something that we're rushing to do. And getting in another relationship seems to be like, a lot of women think it's the answer to all problems, but in all honesty, it's really not. You want to definitely work on the root chakra, and the root chakra energy is about safety and stability. And also you want to work on the sacral chakra, which is about areas of confidence and passion. You definitely want to work on the solar plex chakra, which allows you to have that power, that initiative to move past this breakup. You want to work on definitely the heart chakra, areas of reflection from the breakup, areas of boundaries, energies of trust that may have been disheveled, and you want to work on that energy. And definitely the other two chakras as well, the throat chakra, communicating your boundaries, communicating what it is that makes you feel like you're moving in the right direction during this healing process from a breakup. And also the third eye chakra, trusting your intuition, knowing, like, if you say like, oh, maybe I should go out, but then a part of you saying, no, I don't really feel like it. I don't want to go out just to go out. And trusting that intuition that, that you're on the right track is very important. And also the crown chakra, leaving you the time to really reclaim your identity, reclaim your focus back to you. And getting the confidence back takes time, especially after a breakup. The shift focus of the confidence, reconnecting with your identity, reconnecting that you're unique and setting your personal goals definitely takes time. You also want to reframe from negative talk, practice some affirmations, and definitely understand that just because there was a breakup doesn't necessarily mean that it was something that's. And here is Tank. Wow. I'm going to break up with him in a minute. I would say, look, if there are mutual friends, you're going to want to acknowledge to your friends, I don't really want to hear about so-and-so. So one of the important things is surround yourself with positive energy. And one of the ways to do that is to really be around positive people. You don't want to be around people who are basically still connected with your ex, or there's a lot of negative energy, or there's a lot of negative memories. You want to kind of have that area where you can create some boundaries with the new people that you're hanging out with. So if you do have friends who are mutual friends with your ex, you're going to want to acknowledge with the new people, like, hey, with your friends, like, hey, I don't want to hear about if he's out there dating people, if he got like drunk last weekend, like I don't want to hear about any of that. So if you have like any chismes, they would say, keep that to yourself, or I don't want to hear about like him and his new boo. Like I do not want to hear about that. Keep that shit to yourself, and make sure like you acknowledge that with your friends if you guys do have mutual friends. And also I would tell them like please don't tell him if we hang out or what we're doing or any of that, because it's none of his business. But then also I would definitely say that you definitely should be looking to have new relationships that are not connected to your ex. Also, it is important to not just take care of the energy of self-care by doing all these things, but also you want to track your progress. So you want to track the times that you feel happy and that you feel resilient. You also want to reward yourselves when you start to feel a little bit like, yes, I'm feeling better. I'm definitely feeling a moment that was fun. Acknowledge that. Like if you went to a concert and you had a really good time with your friends, or maybe you went out on a date and it was just a casual date, but you just felt like I feel good. This was a fun time. Or maybe you went on a hike and it was a very fun hike and you enjoyed the scenery and the atmosphere was beautiful. So you really want to celebrate your wins. You want to acknowledge that. And I would recommend getting a planner and writing in that date, did this, I felt this. Acknowledging that each milestone, it gets a little bit better, and it does definitely acknowledge the energy of you moving forward. Another thing that I really, really would say is important is reflecting and releasing what it is that you are feeling, what it is that you recognize in your strengths, and then also what it is that you forgive yourself for certain things that occurred in the relationship. So for instance, sometimes holding on to the anger and holding on to the guilt really weighs down your confidence, and it really weighs down the area of self-conception that doesn't allow you to move forward. So acknowledging, how it is that maybe you saw yourself in the relationship and how it is that you maybe next time would improve, or maybe you would feel more aware of, or feel more centered towards letting that energy go. Forgive yourself for that energy, and also forgive yourself for holding on to energies of anger, energies of hate, anger, and jealousy, especially if there's somebody else in the picture. Like if it's a third wheel, it's a horrible time, right? So just make sure that you acknowledge like that energy of anger that you feel towards that other person, possibly your ex, and acknowledging that and allowing yourself to try to let that anger go. Another thing that you want to do is step out of your comfort zone. And that can be hard. And one of the life little hacks that I heard of stepping out of your comfort zone is basically setting up a new routine, which we already talked about, but that would be in something that almost felt very like uncomfortable for you. So for instance, let's say you are nervous about eating alone, or you're nervous about going out and taking yourself on a date, which is something that you should do, but you're nervous to do it. So what you could do is you can set a day where you're like, every Thursday night for dinner, I'm going to go to this bar, or I'm going to go to this restaurant, and I'm going to sit somewhere where, there's other people. So I would recommend sitting at the bar. And that's going to kind of be, my regular thing. And I'm going to do that for Thursday. And then I'm going to, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy my meal, and then I'm going to go home and enjoy the rest of my night. Or it could be like every Wednesday I go to a pottery class or a painting class, something like that. But you're going to want to establish a new routine that sometimes makes you feel a little bit not so comfortable, because you don't want to be centered in a place where you aren't facing your fears. So it's just a small resilience of how courageous and how resilient you are. Another thing you want to do is definitely focus on the future. But like I said, practice small and also short-term goals, but you do want to focus on the area of positivity. So I would work with like doing a vision board for the year, also picking up quotes. Another thing that I like to do that I think is a very fun thing to do is to get a planner. I love planners because they're so easy to work with, and they kind of set you up for the road for success. And finding some quotes that you like, or some affirmations, or even some photos you like, and just place it in each month, right? One for January, one for February, one for March. And then you could go and see that each month, and you kind of see how you've really grown, how that area has moved forward. Also remember who you are, right? Remember that there was a time that you weren't with this ex, right? You weren't with this person. And for the most part, you were probably on the right track. You were probably happy. You were probably enjoying your friends. You were probably doing a bunch of things that made you happy. And now, just because there's a breakup, that doesn't mean that you lose you. You just, in some ways, lost an area of your life or moved forward from a different time in your life, and you're moving forward still. That was just something that occurred. After this, there will be new happiness. There will also be new areas of achievements, successes. Even though right now it sounds and feels very challenging, you will still get to new areas of successes, achievements, and even happiness. So let's talk about some breakup rituals. Breakup rituals and breakup spells. So this one is probably one of the most popular ones that a lot of people do during a breakup. I definitely recommend only doing it if the relationship has been over for a while, you two are not communicating with each other, and it's done, it's over, and you just need to have some closure personally, and also you just need to move forward. And I don't like, and I will say that I am one of those people, I do not like when people do a cord cutting ritual and then they want to dissect what the flame meant. What did the smoke mean? It means you guys are broken up. It doesn't mean anything else. It means you need to move forward, move past it. So if you do a cord cutting ceremony, It's centered around letting go, releasing, no longer being bonded to that person. Of course, if you have children, you guys are still probably going to have to communicate, but being emotionally connected to that individual. So this spell is definitely one of the most common, and I think it's honestly one of the most beautiful when you look at it. So of the energy of movement and of the relationship. And yes, you'll probably be looking at the flame, looking at how the candles kind of melt, and looking at how it did probably even resemble that relationship. And that's okay, right? Allow yourself to feel those emotions, allow yourself to feel that energy. So basically, a cord cutting spell is like this: it's breaking the energetic ties between you and your ex. So you're going to want to look for a black candle or some type of dark color candle for protection and release, and also a white candle for new beginnings. Some people put the names on the candle. I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but some people do. It's up to you. You know, everybody should do their spell the way that they feel right to you, but for me, I like using the black for protection and release and the white candle for new beginnings. Place a piece of like string or a cord onto the candle. Some people do it on the top of the candle, or kind of more centered right around the top, not necessarily the middle, but closer to that energy, because you want the cord to basically catch on fire. And you're going to need scissors to cut the cord. After you place the string between the two candles, this symbolizes the connection and the bond that you had with your ex. So you're going to want to make sure that you're doing this in a safe place. Some people like to put salt or sand or some type of energy. You could even use like Himalayan salt around the candles for protection, but you're going to light both of the candles. It is going to reflect the energy of the relationship, what you've learned, what you're letting go of, and you're going to basically let go of some of that energy that has bonded you to that individual. You can write certain things on the candle, like I release this person, I release what I felt, I release these energies that I have felt. You can, say your own intentions. I release so-and-so. The energy no longer serves me. I reclaim my strength. I reclaim my confidence, and I reclaim my peace. So look at what it is that you want to release from with that individual. You say, I want to release the hurt, the betray, the sadness that this individual brought to me, and I am reclaiming my happiness, I'm reclaiming my peace, and I'm reclaiming my confidence. So definitely look at what it is that you want to release, and light the candles, let them burn, and release it back to the universe. Also, I do want to tell you, do not blow out the candle. I mean, if you do, it's not going to hurt you, but you really want the candle to burn completely out. That's why I would say make sure you do it on some type of dish that won't get hurt or won't melt, and make sure you have enough time and the candle isn't so big that it doesn't burn completely out. So you want to get a candle that is big enough but not too big where it doesn't completely burn out. Another thing that I really think is important to do is some type of self-love type spell. If that is a confidence spell, making a self-love spell jar, or if that's doing a ritual bath, but you're definitely going to want to do something that reiterates that energy of self-love back to you. So I like a self-love jar because you could put what it is that you feel connected with. If your favorite flowers, lavender to bring calmness. A lot of people love roses for love and healing. Pink Himalayan salt for self-love. I love pink Himalayan salt. It's one of my favorites. You could write on a piece of paper some of your affirmations, like I am worthy, I am loved, I'm worthy for happiness, I'm worthy for love, and fold it towards you. Place it in the jar. You could seal the jar, put it on your nightstand, and look at it, when maybe you need to. Another thing that a lot of people like to do is definitely with a full moon. During the time that you've been going through the breakup, you can look for a full moon that's coming up. I would definitely look for a full moon that wasn't necessarily tied to an eclipse. I would definitely wait if you don't feel the time is right. If there is a full moon that maybe resembles that person, like for instance, they were Pisces and then there's a full moon coming up in Pisces, you could wait. Like there's no reason not to wait. And you can then definitely have a ceremony, a releasing ritual where you release that energy. It could be something like burning in a cauldron, burning a piece of paper in the cauldron that you wrote, maybe I release this individual, I release under the moon's light, I release the feelings of sadness, my heart is now free. And you could do that. Also, I would say that you could drown it out. Also, if you wanted to do that, you could make moon water and then drown out that individual's name with the moon water and release it that way as well. There would be definitely more energy around releasing it to the air, I believe, but it's up to you. I would definitely do the cord cutting ceremony, also the moon releasing ceremony as well. But for every ceremony that you do like that, I would definitely practice some energy of self-love and also some energy around self-confidence as well. So a mirror ritual or a mirror confidence spell would definitely be like finding a mirror where it is secluded. It isn't like where everybody's at. It's your personal mirror. And you want to look into the mirror and you want to have eye contact with yourself. And you want to say your affirmations. And definitely affirmations are super powerful, especially when you do it in the mirror, because you are saying it to yourself. And you would say like, I am strong. I deserve love. I deserve happiness. I am deserving. The universe flows love to me. I am at peace with the phase of the life that I'm at now. And we have to remember that all breakups are challenging, right? And processing a breakup takes time. Definitely, I would use that time to reflect. Also reflect on what it is that you learned from that breakup. Are you, still kind of going through the emotions, seeing how this energy has been letting you feel with each new month. If you feel like you're not getting better, or you're not making advancements, I would say definitely reach out to a professional counselor, especially if you've been feeling like depressed. I know some people are like, I can't believe a breakup has affected me that way. But sometimes a breakup can be very, very detrimental and also be very challenging, and some people have a lot of obstacles. So if you're just feeling like you're still emotionally tied to the feelings around your ex, or you're still feeling like these emotions are not allowing you to move in an area of resilience and an area of moving past the obstacles, then I would definitely reach out to somebody and seek some professional help. Also, you should be reflecting as much as possible on areas that you realize that your boundaries were compromised, and also having new opportunities to improve when the next relationship does come up. And sometimes people forget to do that. And you want to start slow. You also want to listen to your intuition and don't feel like you need to rush through the process of each phase of the breakup. And definitely give it time. Give yourself that energy to move through the emotions and to definitely deal with what has occurred. And it does take time. So give yourself some grace and love during this time, even when it does feel difficult. And I would give yourself also permission to date again. One of the things that I will say that I think is very valuable is after you have worked through all the processes and all the things that you've been feeling like have been holding you back from, you know, maybe dating, and now you feel like you are ready to date and you feel like it's been enough time, you're comfortable being alone, you're comfortable with your new found energy, you're comfortable with where you're at, and you're not taking a lot of the baggage from the old relationship, a lot of the hurt, a lot of the feelings from the old relationship into a new relationship. I definitely recommend getting rid of or putting it away a lot of the old items from the last relationship. I definitely think getting rid of the old items is important. And some people were like, well, what if we get back together? Well, if you're worried that you guys are going to get back together and you threw away or got rid of a bracelet or something like that he bought you, then you're probably not ready to date. Or if you still need to look at his pictures, you're probably not ready to date. So I honestly feel like unless you are ready to get rid of all the things that tie you to that individual, especially around materials, then that's the sign that it's time to get back dating. But a lot of times I see women will hold on to some of the materials, men too. And I once had a client who he was holding on to a lot of the materials of his ex. And what's interesting is he had it by his nightstand by his house, in his house or in his apartment. And he said like he was having the worst luck finding or meeting anybody. And then finally, I told him, I said, you need to clear all that out, the pictures, everything. If you really want to meet somebody else, you need to clear that energy out. And he did. And then I think about like 6 months later, he messaged me and said, I just want to thank you for your advice, blah, blah, blah. I met somebody else and she's amazing and I'm very happy. So I definitely am a firm believer of getting rid of that shit. So, and if you can't get rid of it, you're not ready to date. So I want to thank everybody for listening to a Chakras and Cusswords podcast. And thank you so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know some of your hacks for getting through a breakup, what has helped you, and have an amazing day. And also don't forget to share this with your witchy bestie, especially if she's going through a breakup too. Bye, guys.